Hey, what's going on, y'all? This is Tony here with my countdown of the 5 types of mixed people, the 5 most common types of mixed people out there that you'll meet. Number 5 is the other. The other is somebody who doesn't identify more with one of their races than with another. If they're mixed with white and black, they don't see themselves as white or black. They just check other when they fill out the census records. And a lot of times, cases like this is because they were never really accepted by any one group that they descend from. For example, in my family, a lot of my family, they were too white to be considered Indian. They were too Indian to be considered white, so no one really accepted them that much. And so I have a lot of relatives that just check other on their paper because they don't really have an identity that leans one way or another. The other doesn't really like to get involved with any of the debates that go on about race. They don't really like to talk about it. They just, at the end of the day, just see themselves as human and just prefer to move on from there. They don't really take a side. The 4th type of mixed person that you'll meet is the chameleon. The chameleon is sort of like the exact opposite, the polar opposite of the other. The chameleon is someone who identifies with whatever race is convenient for them at the time. If they're mixed with white and black and they're in a room full of black people, they'll just say, I'm just light-skinned black. But if they're in a room full of white people, they'll just say, I'm white with a tan. That is the other kind of person. Whatever suits their purposes, whatever's convenient for them, whatever helps them get the job, get the advantage, or just not be made fun of, just survive, that kind of person is the chameleon. They will choose whatever race gets them the benefit. If they're white and they have a touch of Asian in them, then they'll apply for a minority scholarship or something like that. Or if they are Asian with a touch of white, then they'll just get blonde highlights or something like that and just try to play up their European side. But the chameleon always has to adapt for whatever the situation suits them. Sort of similar to the chameleon is number 3, the passer. The passer is someone who, whatever ethnicity they perceive as dominant, they will identify with that race more than the others. You'll usually see this in white people who have a touch of black in them or have a touch of Native American or of some other ethnicity. I mean, you've seen people that look like this. You look at them, and if you were to walk past them quickly, you just say they're white. But then you start noticing details. Their skin's craggy. Their nose bridge is a little wider. They might have fuller lips. Their hair may not be perfectly straight. They might have some kind of feature to them. They might be a little browner than the average white person. There's some feature where you look at them, and if you're a minority, that feature looks familiar to you. But for them, that feature is a source of shame. They're always trying to conceal it. They may keep their hair short, because if they grew it out and it was mixed people hair, it'd be obvious that they're not full white or something like that. Usually I've seen the passer be a white person that has some other race in them, and they try to pretend like it's not there. Again, the passer is more or less a spin-off of the chameleon, whereas the chameleon will switch from one race to the other, given what situation's convenient for them. The passer will just stick with that one race that they perceive as the dominant race. And you also see this happen on the flip side. You have passers who want to stick with what they perceive as the less dominant race. And that leads me to number 2, the militant. The militant is kind of like the passer, except rather than identifying with which of their races is more dominant, they identify with which of their races is less dominant. Like, for example, you'll see this, if one race is oppressing the other or perceived as the oppressor, they'll side with the oppressed race. Let me give you a case in point of this. You'll have a person that's mixed with white and black. They probably, in a lot of cases, look more white than they do black, and they're ashamed of their white side. So what they'll do is they'll put on a dashiki and talk bad about white people, thinking that's going to fix everything and give them self-esteem. When in reality, a lot of times, a lot of mixed people, they are so busy trying to conform to what other people think that they don't have the self-esteem to realize, hey, God made you that way. You need to just do what you have to do and not worry about whether someone else approves of your skin color or gives you the label you want. So a lot of times the militant is just looking for self-esteem at an NAACP meeting. They're looking for self-esteem under the dashiki at Kwanzaa. They're just looking for self-esteem when in reality, if they would just drop all that pressure and just live the life God wants them to live, it'd be a lot better for them than for them trying to fit some racial standard or something like that. And the number one, what I perceive as a very common type of mixed race person is the snapping turtle. I call them the snapping turtle because if you ask them what they're mixed with, they snap at you like they just immediately go at you like a snapping turtle. This kind of person's so easily offended for absolutely no reason. If you walk into a room and you have exotic features, people are going to ask you questions. Just deal with it and be okay. It's part of life. I mean, not all of us can look the same. The world would be very boring like that. But a lot of times, in many cases, I'll give the snapping turtle the benefit of the doubt. A lot of them don't know their parent of the other race. Like, it might be someone who's mixed with white and black and doesn't know their black parent. Or they're mixed with white and black and don't know their white parent, or what have you. In a lot of cases, they legitimately don't know the answer because no one ever told them the truth. But anyway, these are the 5 most common types of mixed people out there. Take care, y'all.